This is New Jersey Secretary of State Tahisha Way, and I send greetings and a Garden State congratulations on this most significant grand opening of the Harriet Tubman Museum, which will forever be a reminder of Harriet's storied work to liberate enslaved Black people. At this point in our nation's history, this museum also offers the opportunity to see Cape May and New Jersey as a key destination in our nation's march towards justice for all. So many thanks to the Mullock family, the Harriet Tubman Museum Board, and all organizers for making this possible, especially as we celebrate the 155th anniversary of Juneteenth. To everyone, continued safety and wellness, and of course, let's enjoy the museum forevermore.
Hello, this is Cape May County Freeholder Director Gerald Thornton. Cape May County has a wide and diverse inventory of attractions that draw more than 10 million visitors to our doors each year. The opening of the Harriet Tubman Museum is a welcomed addition and will bring international attention to the part Cape May played in the shaping of our history. I have been eagerly awaiting the opening and have supported this project from the beginning. I commend the Mullock family for their vision and especially want to acknowledge the leaders and members of the Macedonia Baptist Church for making this a reality. This museum will not only be a major historical attraction, but will also be a major tourism destination. The museum's opening has received international media attention. Tourism is now a $6.9 billion industry in Cape May County, and 59% of our jobs are tourism dependent. Cape May County has a rich history dating back more than 325 years. This museum serves to complete the story that is so important to all of us and will forever showcase the vital role of African Americans in the history of the county. Harriet Tubman and Stephen Smith are legends in the abolitionist movement, and I'm proud that we can now come together in Cape May to honor their work and learn about their incredible journey. Really well done, everyone.
New at 6 tonight, big plans in the making in Cape May, New Jersey. The resort town could soon become home to an historical landmark.
In Cape May, a museum to honor Harriet Tubman is under construction.
Cape May, along with the Delaware Valley, played a pivotal role in the abolitionist movement and the Underground Railroad.
And now a highly anticipated museum is getting ready to open down the shore that showcases those efforts to get slaves to freedom.
An historic church is being converted into a museum honoring Harriet Tubman in her efforts to free slaves using the Underground Railroad.
On Lafayette Street in Cape May sits the future home of the Harriet Tubman Museum.
A busy block in Cape May that will soon give visitors a reason to stop.
Hello, Pastor Harris here, Macedonia Baptist Church. Just want to welcome you to the virtual tour of the Harriet Tubman Museum, located in Cape May, New Jersey.
They say they're building a small museum with a big story. The museum recently got some major publicity.
Astounding.
Smithsonian Magazine listed it as one of the most anticipated museum openings of 2020.
A year ago, we would have never imagined anything like that.
They've been in the construction phase now for about a year, and now they have an opening date. It's June 19th.
We felt like a celebration for freedom and emancipation on June 19th would be appropriate.
June 19th is also known as Juneteenth, when the country's last slaves were freed in Texas. Planners say they hope the people who come here will use Harriet Tubman's example for their own lives.
It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you came from. It matters about where you're going.
My name is Brent Leggs. I'm the Executive Director of the African American Cultural Heritage Action Fund at the National Trust for Historic Preservation. We are delighted that the world gets to learn about the most remarkable woman, arguably, in world history. Miss Harriet Tubman, known as the Moses of her people. Harriet transcended the constraints placed on her life. As a social justice champion and advocate for the ideals of American democracy, that all men and women should be created equal. And the physical evidence of that legacy is preserved in perpetuity. Help this organization grow to do the important work of interpreting and telling Harriet's most remarkable story. Every single visitor, I hope you walk away inspired and that you too become a social justice champion in your own community to ensure racial justice, equity, and equality for everyone. Since you can't walk these grounds and touch this culture and history, you have the opportunity to experience it digitally and virtually.
Here, in fact, at this very site, was a real underground railroad that had secret compartments within the cars that took escaping slaves up towards Philadelphia and on the west side of New Jersey.
We come to honor Harriet Tubman, who was a leader, who was a role model, who was a woman determined to help others to freedom.
When we found out the history, because this is a historically black church, we jumped on board. Some of the things I did not know, some of the things I've only heard of, but when you listen to the history of how Harriet Tubman impacted the lives of so many slaves, and that it was here in Cape May, New Jersey, is something that you could not shake your head no to.
Why Cape May?
We can document that she was here in 1852. She was working as a domestic, she was working as a cook in order to make money to fund her missions to free fugitive slaves.
I believe that Harriet Tubman personifies a story that was shared by many of the African American residents in Cape May.
Welcome to the Harriet Tubman Museum of Cape May. We're so excited that you are joining us today on this virtual tour. My name is Linda Anderson Towns, and I am one of the Harriet Tubman Museum Foundation members and trustees, but I'm also a member of Macedonia Baptist Church of Cape May as well. In the museum itself, you will see many areas that will begin with the African journey, the African slave trade. Now, in the Africa room, this is a room that we have dedicated to our former minister, Reverend Robert O. Davis.
At this home, the former priest of Macedonia Baptist Church built a collection of historic slavery items, hoping to keep the tale of this town alive.
As a child, I came here. At that time, the pastor of the church was Reverend Robert O. Davis. Reverend Davis was from the South. He brought a lot of artifacts with him, which he used to take around the schools all across the country and show during Black History Month. There would be one room in the museum dedicated to Reverend Davis to show the artifacts that he brought from the South.
Reverend Davis was really an important and significant figure in Cape May. For many, many years, he was a teacher in lower township schools. He also was the pastor there in Macedonia for many years. But more than that, he sort of opened minds to the importance of Africa and the importance of the African American community. So the Africa room, which is the first room that you'll enter into the museum, will begin the full journey of moving to Harriet Tubman, moving to the Civil War, moving to the various wars in the United States, and then finally moving to what we call the Legacy Room. The Legacy Room will have many African Americans from this community who contributed to not only Cape May, but Cape May County as well. We have many exhibits, but the first exhibits will basically focus on busts and various sculptures. So as I move back a bit, you'll see some of the samples from Reverend Davis's collection.
They say they hope this museum will inspire visitors.
I am hopeful that they will have that spirit
you know, even slavery at one time was legal, but was it right?
Hi, I'm Barbara Dreyfus, board member of the Harriet Tubman Museum. I've done a lot of the research that you'll be seeing and reading about when you come to visit. What did I learn in doing this research? I learned that when we walk through the streets of Cape May, we're walking in the footsteps of giants. First and foremost was a Harriet Tubman. When Harriet Tubman was here, Cape May was already a center for leading abolitionists and Underground Railroad leaders. People like Stephen Smith, George Goines, John C. Bowers, William Furness, Charles Sumner walked these streets. And we walk in the footsteps of other giants as well. People who crossed the Delaware Bay under excruciating conditions to come here to gain freedom. Some of their stories are here in this book, The Underground Railroad, written by William Still, who coordinated the Underground Railroad throughout New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York. The book is being loaned to the museum by Florence Edgecombe and Emily Dempsey, whose family had lived in Cape May for more than 5 generations. Their grandfather's grandfather, Charles Bowes, is buried nearby in Union Bethel Civil War Cemetery. He was a member of the 22nd Regiment of the U.S. Colored Troops, as were many others from Cape May. Many artists have been inspired by Harriet Tubman's story, and you'll see their works here in the museum. Painter Sidney Smith Jordan, photographer Suzanne Kulperger, and sculptor Kate Brockman. And we want to give a shout out to our videographers, Jim Talone and Ted Burke, who created 2 wonderful videos that you'll view in the museum. And we want to give a special thank you to the nationally renowned sculptor Wesley Wolford, whose amazing statue of Harriet Tubman leading a child into freedom will be on display at the museum for several months.
How's everybody doing? I'm Alexander Bland, president of the Cape May County NAACP. And I just want to congratulate everyone that contributed to the Harriet Tubman Museum of Cape May County. I know a lot of people donated their time and their energy to this historical institution, and I don't want to discredit anyone, but the people that are near and dear to my heart are Pastor Harris, the Moloch family, hey Cindy, Chris Clemens, and one of the greatest superheroes, superintendents that ever lived in Cape May County, Miss Linda Towns, and she is a superhero too. But this is a museum to preserve not only African American history, but American history in little old Cape May County, especially under the circumstances our nation is in. And on Juneteenth, this couldn't have come at a better time to bring everyone together. Along with the reactivation of the county NAACP and the former segregated Franklin Street School becoming a county library soon, all the stars are aligning in Cape May County. And it's spearheaded by the Harriet Tubman Museum. And I can't wait to bring my daughter to the museum so she can learn more about one of the greatest human beings that ever lived in Harriet Tubman. And she can see how much she has in common with Harriet Tubman. And she can learn what Harriet Tubman did in the same county that she lives in. So once again, congratulations to the Harriet Tubman Museum. Thank you to all the organizers. And have a happy Juneteenth, everyone. God bless.
We're looking at it as a way to a vehicle that brings the city and hopefully the county, and then from there the state, to look at one small place and a person who made such a difference in lives, and know that there are many who are still making the same impact that Harriet Tubman did.
You're talking about a house that's been untouched since the late 1700s.
Now, construction is well underway to transform the gutted house into the Harriet Tubman Museum.
This was kind of like a fancy detail that they did back then, where the wall would come into here. Along with the history of Harriet Tubman, this house itself has some beautiful history which we want to preserve. Hi, I'm Zach Mullock, construction manager here for the Harriet Tubman Museum. And I just wanted to thank so many of the people who were involved in this project. It's hard to imagine that a project of this size and this scale could be done in less than a year. And it could only be done because of the community of Cape May. Pretty much everyone who worked on this project is within this area. And it was done almost entirely by volunteers and professionals who did so on a volunteer basis. So it really serves as an example of what we can do as a community. And I want a special shout out to several of those members. AICS Installation, Jeff from AICS, thank you. Cape May Contracting, Steve Steger and Bob Gleason, thank you so much. Mike Budd from Budd's Plumbing, Mike Moore from Moore Masonry, Barry Mann, Coastal Roofing and Siding, Jeff Schaefer, Schaefer Mechanical, Ron and Dan Casal from Verve Tile, Billy Moore from WM Carpentry, Dennis from Sierra Drywall, and Gerard and Sean Riley of Systems Electric and Swain's Hardware, and especially a special thanks to Fulcrum Architects and my right-hand man, Tony Herrera, an excellent carpenter who was with me all along the way. And I just want to thank all of you. And I think while that list is long, all of those people had a tremendous effect on this museum and did a ton of work, so they deserve a lot of credit. But what it also tells me is that no matter how bad things get in this world, there is so much good, there is so much beauty, and there's so much love. All of those people gave their time and effort to this project because they believe in it and they love it. To me, this building itself is basically a metaphor. Once a dilapidated structure destined for the bulldozer, now enlisted on the historic watch site. Now it's a monument to our great but largely forgotten African American history. This started out as a building project, but very quickly it became a blueprint for how a community can come together to build people up, regardless of religion, regardless of sex, and regardless of race. Colossians 3 says, "Above all, put on love, which binds us together in perfect harmony." I want to thank you all for being here virtually with us today, and we hope to see you soon physically here at the Harriet Tubman Museum. Thank you.
So this is a critical area. Cape May has had a great record in establishing and helping Black communities around the world. Black lives matter, and they matter for kids in Somalia, they matter for kids in Honduras, they matter for kids in Haiti, and they matter here in Cape May.
Today, we are again engaged in a great debate of racism and democracy. We're proud to add our voice to those demanding social justices. We are also inspired and determined by those who walked before us. So I just want to say thank you to everyone that took part in this. Thank you to those who are standing up and having their voices heard. This Harriet Tubman Museum is for you and everyone else